Check out how you can get those solar panels installed at your home or residence by going to onesolarsolution.com. Bringing you the world news coming up next. This is Radio Caravan, the world news, read by Shabnam Modgil. News of the infection of the most powerful man in the world with the most notorious disease in the world drew instant reactions. The positive test reading for the leader of the world's largest economy adds more uncertainty to investors' worries also. President Trump said this morning that he and his wife Melania had tested positive for COVID-19 and were going into quarantine upending the race for the White House. President Trump announcing early this morning that he and the First Lady tested positive for COVID-19, a startling piece of news felt across the country. Reaction to that news was swift and included an outpouring of support. With almost 30 days until the presidential election, Donald Trump announcing that he and wife Melania have been diagnosed with the coronavirus. It comes as a close aide who traveled alongside Mr. Trump this week on Air Force One tested positive with COVID-19 on Wednesday. Although his physician, Sean Connolly, has said the president was in good health with no symptoms, reported the 74-year-old will now spend 2 weeks in lockdown at the White House. He said he and his First Lady Melania Trump testing positive for the coronavirus, a stunning announcement that plunges the country deeper into uncertainty just a month before the presidential election. Announcing that this positive test for COVID-19 is a startling piece of news felt across the country. He made the announcement about 2 hours after he had said that he and the First Lady were waiting for their test results following the news that Hope Hicks, a top White House aide with whom they had recently traveled on Air Force One, had tested positive. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment about the total number of people in the president's inner circle and staff who may also have been infected with the disease, which, as of this morning, has killed at least 207,789 Americans. President Trump testing positive for the coronavirus, joining a small group of world leaders who have been infected, but at 74, it puts him at higher risk of serious complications. Get well messages for President Trump pouring in from foreign capitals today after he and his wife tested positive. Like two U.S. presidents before him, he could temporarily hand over power to his vice president should he become incapacitated, for example, while undergoing a medical procedure as treatment for the coronavirus. Investors already skittish ahead of the U.S. elections next month now have another thing to worry about, the president's health. Stock futures have fallen this morning after President Trump revealed he had tested positive, injecting further uncertainty into an already contentious political environment. The U.S. economy, meanwhile, has just reported a little while ago that they added 661,000 jobs last month, and unemployment fell to 7.9%, but never been this high going into an election. Amazon has said that 19,816 of its U.S. employees have tested positive or are presumed positive for COVID-19. The announcement, part of a blog post published by Amazon, offers the public's first national overview of how the pandemic has hit the company's sizable domestic workforce. U.S. schools from kindergarten to high school have avoided a spike in COVID-19 cases, but medical experts say the real test is coming as students in large, densely populated cities such as New York and Miami return to classrooms. The House yesterday passed a $2.2 trillion coronavirus relief bill as the prospects for a deal between Democrats and the White House seem to be fading. But the bill is unlikely to move through the Republican-led Senate, as Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has indicated that he would not support any legislation that has a price tag of more than $2 trillion. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has ordered some ballot drop-off locations in the state to close, limiting each county to just one and potentially complicating the ability of some citizens in the state to deliver their ballots in time for the general election. About 2,000 Honduran migrants hoping to reach the United States have entered Guatemala on foot, testing the newly reopened frontier that had been shut by the coronavirus pandemic. And the United States Navy said it had undertaken an operation off the coast of Venezuela in an effort to challenge the South American country's excessive maritime claims in international waters. Police in Ethiopia's Oromia region have arrested 503 people on accusations they plan to cause violence during an annual Thanksgiving festival this weekend and seize guns and hand grenades. Sudan's government and rebels are to sign a landmark peace deal tomorrow in a bid to end decades of war in which hundreds of thousands have died, a historic achievement if it holds. Officials in Armenia have said today the country is ready to discuss a ceasefire in the separatist region where heavy fighting between Armenian and Azerbaijani forces has continued for 6 straight days, killing dozens and leaving scores wounded. The presidents of France, Russia and the United States have called for an immediate ceasefire between Azerbaijan and ethnic Armenian forces, but Turkey said the 3 big powers should have no role in peace moves. The United Nations has registered a maritime delineation deal reached between Turkey and Libya's UN-backed government. And the European Union leaders have agreed to impose sanctions against members of the Belarus regime and fired a warning at Turkey over its gas drilling activities in the eastern Mediterranean. Boris Johnson will hold Brexit talks with Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission. The announcement led to guarded hope among European Union diplomatic sources that the deal could be closer than ever. Britain and the European Union continue trade talks next week until a summit of the bloc's leaders on the 15th and 16th of this month. Ireland's Prime Minister said Britain must respect Brexit arrangements for the sensitive Irish border as this week's talks between the bloc and London failed to close the gaps on a new trade deal. The Czech Republic recording over 3,000 new coronavirus cases, the highest daily count since the global pandemic reached the country, and Ukraine registered a record over 4,000 COVID-19 cases in the past 24 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the World News on Radio Caravan. The leader of a party fielding the second highest number of candidates for Myanmar's November elections has been arrested after local media reported allegations of a shady past, including a prison escape and financial finagling. The Pentagon has approved India's request to buy $90 million worth of equipment, spare parts and logistical support for its fleet of C-130J Super Hercules cargo aircraft. In its notification to Congress, the Defense Security Cooperation Agency said the proposed sale will support the foreign policy and national security of the U.S. by helping to strengthen the U.S.-India strategic relationship and improve the security of a major defense partner, which continues to be an important force for political stability, peace and economic progress in the Indo-Pacific and South Asia region. With Vikram Doraiswamy taking over as the High Commissioner to Bangladesh, it is quite evident that the road to high-profile ambassadorial assignments in the neighborhood goes through the Prime Minister's office. It is Rudrendra Tandon who has gone to Kabul to take over as the Indian ambassador to the strife-torn Afghanistan. India's COVID-19 caseload inched closer to 64 lakh mark, with 81,484 infections reported in a day, while the number of people who recuperated from the disease crossed 53 lakhs, pushing the recovery rate to 83.70%. Having dipped below 90,000 plus 2 weeks ago, daily COVID-19 cases in India continue to hold steady in the 80 to 89,000 range. Where for a second time in a row, Uttar Pradesh has topped among all states in the country in initiating prosecution of offenders in cases of crime against women and filed maximum charge sheets against the accused. Amid nationwide outrage against the lawlessness of Uttar Pradesh that witnessed back-to-back incidents of atrocities against women in Hathras and Balrampur, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said exemplary punishments will be given to those who even think of disrespecting women. The family members of Hathras incident victim complained that they are being stopped from speaking to the media from every angle as the administration has imposed Section 144 in this village. The Aam Aadmi Party today said that the senior party leaders and members of the Delhi Legislative Assembly would gather at the India Gate today to protest against the gang rape and murder of the Dalit teenager by 4 upper caste men in Uttar Pradesh's Hathras district earlier this week. Sunrisers Hyderabad skipper David Warner has won the toss a little while ago and opted to bat against the Chennai Super Kings in Dubai. The Sunrisers Hyderabad have won 1 match and lost 2, while the Chennai Super Kings lost 2 of their first 3 games. The Indian women's cricket team has overtaken New Zealand to rise to the 3rd spot in the T20 international standings and retain the 2nd position in the ODI chart of the latest ICC rankings released today. Australia and England retain the top 2 positions. And Australia-based David Hemp has been appointed as the head coach of the Pakistan women's national cricket team. Pakistan today rejected speculative and baseless media reports claiming the Pakistan army was fighting alongside Azerbaijani forces against Armenia in the breakaway region. And Afghan peacemaker Abdullah Abdullah has said that Pakistan is on the same page as Afghanistan in relation to the need for reduction in violence and flexibility in the Doha intra-Afghan negotiations by the Taliban. Gilgit-Baltistan caretaker Chief Minister Mir Afzal said he would not be taken from the Pakistan Army in the upcoming elections for the Legislative Assembly. The elections on the 24 general seats will be held on the 15th of November. Prime Minister Imran Khan has said PMLN Supremo Nawaz Sharif is playing a dangerous game by levelling allegations of political interference against the army and claimed that the former premier has India's support. PMLN Supremo Nawaz Sharif hit out at the PTI government for failing to control inflation and poverty, saying once again that his party's struggle was not against Prime Minister Imran Khan, but those who stole the election and allegedly brought him into power. 6 marriage halls and 103 restaurants have been sealed in Karachi for failing to comply with health guidelines and COVID-19 prevalence. The number of confirmed cases in Pakistan stands at 313,431, and the number of deaths today stands at 6,499. Former Karachi Electric Chairman Tabish Gauhar has been appointed as Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on power. And in a significant move, the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz has expelled its 5 MPAs who had met Punjab Chief Minister Usman Buzdar without permission of its leadership. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all that I have in the news for you on this 2nd of October.